going.
Okay.
We have quorum, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you may go ahead, Catherine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order and welcome everyone. I know we have a big presentation today on transit services, so that's pretty exciting. Do we have anything else that we need to add to the agenda at this point?
No. Catherine, we can never do that. We can never do that.
Really?
Really?
Well, that's, okay. That's
yeah. This
that's
is not
committee I'm on.
Yeah,
then.
yeah. No, this isn't like a governance committee can do that. But this isn't the type of committee. So our agendas have to be circulated in advance because these are public meetings. You're an advisory committee of council, so council needs to be informed of what the agenda is in the event that they might want to attend. So we can't we can't add ad hoc items, just as a point of clarification.
I think I was getting my committees mixed up.
And that happens totally.
And we recorded my gaffe, right? Whoops.
It's all, and this is good because you know what, when the community watches this, it's learning for them too, because sometimes we know we have community members who just want to show up and start talking to you guys because they have stuff they want to share with you. And we need planning. We have to have Tammy informed in advance. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. And there we go. Did someone have a question about that? No, we're good. Okay. Then we'll jump right into the presentations, which is our agenda item number 1. 1.1, we have the presentation on Barrie Transit Services, and I know that we have some special guests here. So please take it away. Introduce yourselves and take it away.
Thank you, Catherine. My name is Jason Zimmerman. I'm the supervisor of transit operations and infrastructure for the city of Barrie. I'll just share my screen. Actually, we'll do some transit team introductions first before I take away all our faces here. Julie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Julie MacDonald. I'm the transit operations coordinator.
Thanks, Julie.
And Robin?
Hi, I'm Robin Menny. I'm the transit planning student.
Great. Okay, thank you.
We got a few transit experts here to help for when I make mistakes. So, so let's get right into the presentation for you. There's lots to update. Lots been happening in the last, I guess, 2 years almost since we've presented to this committee. So does everybody see the my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. See if I can. Okay, so Barrie Transit. So my little animated buses driving in. We just did our introductions. So I'll get into this. So what we had from this committee prior to COVID was just before COVID hit, we were actually supposed to present to this committee on a response to the report that the committee had done, where they had identified some concerns with the transit services. And we were going to, at that time, present some of the things that we were doing to kind of help address some of those concerns. Since that time, we've still been doing a lot to not only address those concerns, but improve the services. So we're going to update you on everything that we've been doing. Some of those concerns included, the concerns around the routes being too long and taking too long for people to get to places, sufficient amount of resources, state of the resources, scheduling processes. I think that was more directed towards the specialized transit and issues with people booking trips, accessible alternatives, and affordability. So not everything that we've been doing directly, is a direct improvement related to those concerns, but some of them are indirectly relatable. So first, some of what's new since we presented to this committee 2 years ago is we're now in the process and getting near to the construction of the new Allendale Mobility Hub, and we could see that coming online within the next year to a year and a half. There's the Transit Vision project, which is a project that is being done to build a more efficient transit service of transit route network that will align with the relocation of our main hub. So basically, when you relocate your main hub, you're also kind of, I call it like a ripple effect. You know, if you drop a rock in a pond, the ripple on the edge of the pond is pretty small. If you drop it right in the middle of the pond, the ripple effect would go out through the whole pond. So when you're moving your main hub in the middle of the city, there's a pretty big ripple effect. So that's where this vision project comes in, where it's kind of, realigning our services to better align with the new main hub being in a new location, as well as making the services more efficient, help you get around a lot quicker. And I'll get more into details of what that project involves in the other slides. And to kind of marry along with that, we started off the Transit on Demand project, which happened about 2 Augusts ago. We launched that. We've done upgrades to our MyRide platform, which I'll show you. I'll give you kind of a quick rundown of all the public health measures that we've implemented and had in place, or some have been recently removed, but all related to the pandemic. The booking software upgrades that Julie will go through for you, the specialized transit fleet improvements that Julie will also update you on, and the improved accessibility and Magnus Cards that Julie will be presenting to you. And then I'll close off with some information that you may not know about our senior fares improvements. So first of all, the mobility hub. So what is a major mobility hub, or what is the Allendale Mobility Hub? So a mobility hub is basically, a transit terminal, but we call it a mobility hub because it kind of interconnects all forms of mobility. So part of the reason of moving the terminal to down to the Allendale Waterfront GO train station is to also have that direct connection to train services that will be improved over the next 10 or more years with GO, and having more frequent train services to and from the GTA. So better connecting our transit services to that service, as well as relocating all our intercity bus services out of the downtown to improve like some of the congestion and exhaust and things like that you get from large buses through the downtown. So as well as like that location is really well connected from like activity trails and pedestrian and cycling and all that type of thing movements throughout the city. So you have a lot more, so you have like this wide range of mobility by that location, which offers up some advantages to people in the city, as well as it realigns our downtown hub to be a little more center. With the city growing so much to the south, it's to kind of move the city center a little more south, because you want your main hub to always be centralized as much as you can. We're not pulling completely out of the downtown. We're going to have the downtown mini hub, which excuse me, would be right adjacent to the old terminal on Maple Drive, or Maple Avenue, sorry. And that terminal will be potentially a farmer's market, we're hearing. So we'll obviously know more in the future, but that's, I think, what the city has planned for is the old terminal to turn into a farmer's market or some sort of public, facility, and we would be right next to it and still have really good connections to the downtown. The majority of our major routes would all still go through the downtown. The Vision project, sorry again. So that's basically,
Sorry,
breaking-
Jason.
Yep.
Could I just ask what the time frame is currently slated for that for that shift?
Yeah, so currently we're looking at late to middle of 2023. So late 2022 to middle of 2023. So about a year to a year and a half. It's hard to say right now because of all the uncertainties in the market and some of the things that may impact the timeline. But that's a high level time frame is somewhere between the end of next year and early into the following year. Obviously, the public will be made well aware as much in advance as possible when a firm date has been identified. So the vision project is basically the realignment of the routes. So that's the main three things that will be involved with that is the building of a new route network, the future network phases so that the services can be continued to be improved after the initial change, and the improvements to the infrastructure. So part of our ISIP funding, which is the federal funding for infrastructure improvements, we're going to be using a portion of that money that the city is getting to make infrastructure improvements at all the bus stops. And we want to make sure we do it at the right bus stops. So once we've identified where all the new routes will be, we'll be making more infrastructure improvements at those stops. Transit on Demand that was launched in August of 2020 is doing really well. And basically what that involves, Transit on Demand is a bus that's on demand. So people can either call or book through an application, and then the bus will come and pick you up. This is the zone that is currently in operation, and it was built to cover or take over for Route 11, which is you can see in yellow here. So Route 11 has since been discontinued as the Transit on Demand had shown to be successful and reliable, and it met all of our parameters for wanting to basically keep it. So early in this year, I think it was around February, the decision was approved by council to remove Route 11 and just make it a Transit on Demand only zone. And so it's been operating as Transit on Demand in this area ever since. And there's just a number of the things that are beneficial about Transit on Demand. It's mainly it's more efficient in low ridership areas, but it's not meant to replace conventional transit because it can't handle the level of ridership that a conventional bus route can handle. And it's just a quick of how it looks. So this is how it looks in the app. When you're booking a trip, this is how the tab on your phone would look if you downloaded the app. And this is how the signs look on the street. Transit on Demand offers a lot of opportunities for expansion. And this is why it is part of our vision project as we look at network improvements with the vision project. But some of the advantages to Transit on Demand is it helps for us to provide service into the secondary lands. So the new growth areas of the city can easily be serviced initially with Transit on Demand so that you can get it into new development areas when all the roads aren't built out yet, but people need some form of service. After that, you can look at areas where you can potentially bring on-demand services to your specialized transit services, as well as potentially with specialized buses, service on demand some of those coverage gaps, like trying to get a bus on demand to Amelia Street. There's a residence in there that it's very difficult to service with a conventional bus route. We do have specialized buses going in there. Potentially in the future, we could have a Transit on Demand stop there, which could help those people get around a lot easier, just to use that location as an example. Also, in the future, you could look at on-demand services for really late at night, or early in the morning, or even all through the night. So those are things that we'd be looking at in the future. as we look to grow the on-demand services here in the city. Some of the improvements that have been made to the MyRide service. So if you're not aware of MyRide, it's basically like a web page that's adjustable to any type of device. It's not an app. It's built that way because we want it to be able to work on multiple different types of devices. And we implemented in the last year or so sign-in ability. So now users can go in and create an account, and you can even set it up so that your bus will send you a message when it's getting close, as opposed to you having to text or call for your bus. You can set it up so that your bus will, you can set it up, say, I want my bus to let me know when it's 10 minutes away. You'll just get a notification, your bus is 10 minutes away, you better get out to your stop, And so that's kind of what's neat about that, as well as you get real-time notifications. So if there's a detour or an event or something that the city has and it's impacting transit, we can send notifications. So anyone that's creating an account can get that notification. So it gives us a little more two-way communication with our transit users that create an account. Something that we've done throughout the pandemic, where we had to have capacity restrictions on our buses. We changed the capacity limits on MyRide so that users could see when the buses were full or not, so they would know if they could get on the bus or not. So something that we used that feature to help with the capacity restrictions that we had in place for throughout the pandemic. And that leads me into the public health measures. So throughout the pandemic, there's been a lot of challenges in continuing to operate the transit service. And how have we mitigated those challenges? Well, some of the things that we've done here in the list, I just mentioned the capacity restrictions, which we have recently lifted on our buses. But there was about a year and a half where we weren't letting any more than 20 people on a conventional bus and no more than 2 people on the specialized buses. And so now that those capacity restrictions have finally been lifted, thankfully, and we're not having to turn anybody away at bus stops, which is really great. But we are maintaining masks required. We are continuing to provide PPE for our operators. We still will keep the bus operator barrier in place, the hand sanitizers that were added to the buses. We will continue to enhance and perform the bus and facility cleanings. We have removed the spaced out seating just recently, but we have implemented social distancing signage of 2 meters on all our buses for people. We have an enter and exit only kind of signage to help guide people to enter from the front, exit from the back of the buses. We implemented the scratch fare media so that drivers weren't handling people's passes to punch them. Now riders can scratch out the ride and show it to the operator, as opposed to the transfer of fare media between driver and passenger. We have external announcements, masks required, things like that we've been using, and the interior signage as well. So we've been doing a lot of little things, but a lot of things that we can do to help with the health measures on our buses and continue to help people feel safe on our buses. And with that, I'll throw it over to Julie. She can go into some of the things that we've been doing related to our booking software and specialized transit stuff.
Thank you, Jason. Last year, we updated our specialized transit software. This upgrade included updating our interactive voice response system, or IVR. This system enables clients to manage their trip bookings. The clients can use the self-serve line to confirm or cancel their upcoming trips. Furthermore, the IVR system calls clients to notify them of upcoming trips. The IVR system has also helped us manage our busy phone lines, as clients do not need to speak directly to a booking agent regarding their trips. Next slide, please. By upgrading the IVR software, we were also able to update our scheduling software, Trapeze Pass, to the latest version, Trapeze version 18. The enhanced scheduling software has resulted in increasing our service availability, thus reducing our service denials. Next slide, please. Since October of this year, our specialized transit fleet is now all the same vehicle type. These low floor buses allow all clients to board regardless of their mobility requirements. Having a fleet of the same vehicle makes it easier for specialized clients to identify that their ride has arrived, as they recognize the vehicles easily. Clients need to only learn to board one type of vehicle, which builds their confidence in accessing the community. This has also improved booking efficiencies, as scheduling is easier when vehicles all have the same seating capacities. Next slide, please. Thank you. Since 2020 or 2020, our fleet has been equipped with the new Incline Assist system. The Incline Assist system allows the operator to guide a client's manual wheelchair in and out of specialized transit vehicles safely without having to push or pull the client's mobility device. The Incline Assist is an operator-controlled automatic winch system which provides a faster, smoother, and safer boarding and deboarding process for clients who use a manual wheelchair. This system improves the client's experience and enables our clients who use a manual wheelchair to access the community independently. Therefore, they wouldn't need a support person or an attendant to help them board or deboard buses. 75% of our fleet is currently equipped with the Incline. The Enabling Change campaign. The Enabling Change campaign is a province-wide initiative to improve transit accessibility to people with disabilities and promote compliance with the Ontario's accessibility standards. With input from various transit agencies and their accessibility advisory committee, which thank you very much for many of you who helped us with this campaign, the new campaign design are created to educate and bring awareness for priority seating, courtesy seating, invisible disabilities, service animals to transit riders. The campaign is set to launch in January of 2022. Next slide. Thank you. To further promote accessibility, a guideline information sheet was created to provide passengers with information for riding the bus with an assistive device. In addition, signage for the securement of devices was added to the priority seating as a reminder that being secured by an operator is recommended. In 2020, Barrie Transit also introduced Magnus Cards. Magnus Cards is a mobile app that combines specialized instructions. Magnus Cards promote independence, reduce anxiety, and can be used as an educational learning tool for multiple rider groups that utilize Barrie Transit, such as life skills, seniors, youth, new Canadians. Each card deck provides a step-by-step visual, audio, and text instruction. Next slide, please. Our Barrie Transit deck includes buying transit passes, planning your trip, riding the bus, staying safe and getting help, and understanding the Barrie Transit system map. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. That was really well spoken. You present better than me, I think. So anyways, seniors fairs, I'm not sure if everybody is aware, but just to remind. So, outside of, just the regular day-to-day type stuff that we do for our senior residents on a daily basis, we've also been working hard to improve our travel training to encourage seniors to try using the transit services and give them the confidence to continue to do so, as well as, if you're not aware, through results from surveys that have been performed throughout the city, It was determined that Thursday was the best day for the city to launch free service for seniors. So I think that started somewhere in 2020. I think it was around June 2020. I can't remember the exact start date, but ever since we've been offering free service for seniors on Thursdays.
I think it was, what we did was we did a pilot. We did June 2019 for the month. And then you and others crunched some numbers and then did some surveys with the general community and seniors advisory. And then they opted to do the once a week was the preferable option. And that started in 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then that's been going fairly well. Only I guess sometimes everybody wants to travel on Thursday. There's not capacity, but it's been good for that. Help get folks out, right? Anything we can do, and there's just the most current seniors fares.
Excuse me, Jason, just before you leave that one, very minor, but there's a typo error. If you look at the second line, providing travel training to encourage, as opposed to encouraged.
Yes, thank you. I'll have to remove that. And that's pretty much everything so I guess there wasn't a heck of a lot to update you all on, but that's everything that we had.
That was a lot. That was a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah, I'll just close that.
Yeah,
any questions? We're happy to answer them.
Any questions?
I have
Louise?
a couple of questions.
There, yes, I do. Excuse me just a minute. So I was visualizing myself at the Allendale Rec Center where I go for Aquafit. And I noticed that the on-demand service goes there. Does it end there? Or like, could I take that down to say the waterfront to Little Avenue and the Lake Shore?
Not currently. So basically the on-demand services from the Allendale Rec Center south. So the zone for on-demand is, the map was there. I guess I should have kept this up on the screen. But if we go back, so the Allendale Rec Center is right at the very top of the zone.
Right, yeah, okay.
And so it does access the Allendale Rec Center if, say, you were going from Park Place, or residents of Lockhart neighborhood could take it directly to Allendale Rec Center. But yeah, that was one of the limitations of on demand, is it doesn't go citywide or anything like that. It has a limited zone.
Yeah, it's a huge area, isn't it? And there's that seniors the retirement home there.
Yeah.
Around, so that's good. Yeah, they could actually get to Allendale that way. Is it the same bus, or what does the bus look like? An on-demand bus.
Prior to the capacity restrictions being lifted, it was a full-size transit bus to encourage social distancing. But as of recently, it's now same type of bus as specialized service. So it'd be a bus like this.
I think it's a wonderful service because I know that it could really work in areas where there's factories and places like that, and maybe they work 24 hours and people don't have cars, or they have a shift from 4 PM till midnight or something, and they really need the bus to get somewhere.
Yeah,
rather than having to take a taxi.
That's really what has driven the transit agencies all around North America to start adopting this, is because it's more efficient. And so, you'll probably see in some areas of the city, it probably doesn't warrant the need for a conventional bus route to be going through there every half an hour, 7 days a week, But maybe it could be serviced by a bus when it needs to, and when someone needs it, as opposed to. So with that flexibility and being more efficient, then we can extend the zone, cover more area, and get the buses to people when they need them, as opposed to when they don't need them.
Right. Heather?
So just to be completely transparent, I have several questions because I was on the subcommittee that was working on the transit report back in 2019. So I brought that up just so that I could check in with where we were at and where we're at now. And obviously with the pandemic, priorities have shifted and I understand that, but I thought it was worth checking in with you on several things. The first is a question for Julie, actually. Julie, you had said that there was a move to include information for those with invisible disabilities in the campaign. I wasn't able to tell from the slide because I couldn't blow it up on Zoom, and that one for some reason was missing from the deck that we got. But I'm curious whether the suggestions of looking into some sort of a pass system that were made by this committee were picked up. We commented on the fact that this is done at Pearson Airport, at the TTC in London with their system, and that it helps to identify individuals with invisible disabilities who have been, sort of flagged through the transit system, confirmed by the transit system, but give a very simple visual to those who are riding the bus that, oh, this person needs the seat as well. Was that something that was able to be incorporated at this time?
We did incorporate it into the campaign as far as having it posted in shelters, in buses, etc. You make a very good point of perhaps having something. It can be part of something that we can look at with this campaign.
I think it would be really excellent if we could. I believe this committee forwarded the information from some of the other transit systems that use it, and in my connections, at least, it's something that I think would be really crucial for us to pay attention to if we can. The second question is also for you, Julie. We had talked about issues with accessing the scheduling process for those who had autism, who had other communication barriers that make telephone use difficult. And the request was for there to be some way of booking specialized transit for those who weren't able to do that by phone. I'm wondering whether with the move to the newest trapeze system, that's possible now, because my understanding is it wasn't with the previous system, and whether we can get to the point of having something similar to the on-demand app for the specialized transit users. Is that possible?
That is definitely possible, and it is something that we are looking into.
Wonderful. That's so encouraging. I hope you don't mind me just going through it like this, but I thought it was good for all of us to be on the same page.
Absolutely.
The next thing was around affordability. Jason, you spoke to the 1 day a week for seniors, but has any movement been made on how we can make transit more affordable for those with disabilities who live on extremely fixed incomes in our community? That was one of the points we had brought to you 2 years ago. Were we able to make movement with that?
Yeah, so on our business side of our department, I know that they're in the very, very early stages, so no promises or anything at this time. But I know that they're investigating how they can work with potentially Simcoe County to sometime, hopefully in the near future, implementing some sort of low-income pass. I think the difficulty around that is the administrative side of it and who qualifies and who does not. And so that's where it needs to be something where they need to work with Simcoe County to help them with that part of it. But I know that it's on the radar. I don't know where they are along with the process, but it is definitely on the radar.
That's excellent. Thank you both. And thank you for all of the work you've been doing in the background. It's just great to have the updates on all of these things.
And I apologize that those were not in the slide deck that when I sent it over to Tammy, And then Julie's like, did you add those 2 slides? And I forgot. And so, I can
It's
send
fine.
the-
I just wasn't
yeah.
able to see them, so I didn't want to make assumptions about what they said.
No problem. There's
Yeah.
2 slides that are not on the slide deck that you would have received. And I can send the updated one to Tammy right after this, and she can
I'll
resend.
forward it out to the committee.
Thank you, Tammy.
No problem.
Any other questions? I am so impressed, I have to say. I know we haven't seen you for a while because of COVID, but the work that you've done over the last 18 months, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
And we keep busy when we're at home,
Yeah, no kidding.
It's tremendous. It's tremendous, you guys. You should be very proud.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So with no other questions, I guess you are all free to go, and we'll continue our meeting. So
Great.
thank you
So much.
Jason, Julie, and Robin. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all.
Thanks
You have
very
a great
much.
night.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Well, okay, so we'll move on to agenda item 2, discussion items. 2.1 is International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Now, I'm sure that Cheryl has something to say there.
Yes. I think we anticipated that we'd be in a different space with the pandemic by now, and that we could do something really interesting. I really liked the idea of having a human lending library and having all of you hang out in the rotunda and have some coffee and treats and have people check you out like a book and learn your personal stories in celebration for International Day of Persons with Disabilities. But alas, we cannot do that. We cannot recommend that. I know that things are opening and people are going to bars and stuff like that, but from a event spacing perspective and just in keeping with all the public health recommendations, I couldn't get approval for that. So we're going to do a proclamation, and I'm still keeping that idea for the other. Maybe we'll do that during National Accessibility Week next spring, and we can do some really cool in-person stuff. But so we're just going to do a proclamation. We'll share that on social media. I have heard from other community organizations who've reached out to say, hey, is the City of Barrie doing anything? Can you share what you're doing? And I've said, we're doing a proclamation. And they said, that's great. Can you share your proclamation? We would like to share that out to our social media groups and stuff. So we do still have people in the community who are watching for that from the committee, from the city. Good. So IDDP is December 3rd. I will have the proclamation done in a week or so. Once it's done, before it goes to the mayor for review and approval and stuff like that, I'll make sure I circulate it with this group, and then you guys can let me know if you have any questions or concerns. And Carolyn can point out if I have typos, because that's always helpful. That's always helpful. So that's that. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about that? No, I'm sorry, you guys. I so wished we could do something. I miss seeing you all in person. You know, like I want to hug everybody. So if you're not a hugger, you're gonna have to tell me when you see me next. Just be like, no hugs, Cheryl, like something, or else I'll just hug you. Like, yeah. I really I can't wait until we can be in a physical space and do something neat to celebrate. But it won't be this year. So
no, it's unfortunate because I love this idea, but good ideas last. So we'll do it next year, right?
Well, and the library has some experience with it. Heather pointed that out to me, and I've since followed up. And there's a few other organizations in the province that have done something similar, not specific to disability necessarily or accessibility. It's most often done with diversity issues, but I really love the idea with for disability because, you know, some of the feedback, for example, if we're just going back to the transportation presentation, some of the feedback that this group gave to Julie for the Enabling Change campaign that the whole province is involved in is just the idea that invisible disabilities are sometimes really difficult for people to understand. And so someone might need some transit accessibility features, and then just a stranger can look at them and say, what's wrong with you? You look fine. But there may be so much going on for that person that they have no idea about. But we live in this day and age where you don't have those conversations. It's taboo to talk about stuff like that. So, you know, I just think it's a really great idea, and I'm open to exploring it. Maybe it'll blow up in my face and people won't like it, but all we can do is try, right? So next year, maybe.
Next year.
We're putting so much on next year. Like next year is going to be amazing because everything's like, oh, next year.
Well, if you remember last year, we put it on this year. So, you know, we have double the fun coming. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Cheryl. We'll move on to item 2.2, the committee involvement in accessibility awareness training.
Yes. So the city staff for various departments do accessibility training on different things. And I had a request from individual in our design and construction area who had participated in some training with Accessibility Advisory Committee from years past. So we're talking way back when Albert Stein and Kim Demberline, Louise, you may have been involved with that group, I don't know. But back years and years ago, before the AODA was really strongly formalized, right? So the AODA was probably around. So I'm thinking probably 2005, 2006, 2007, like it was around, but for example, the very first standard for the AODA is the communication, the customer service standard. And that came into effect for obligated organizations in 2010. So 2005 was when the legislation passed, but 2010 was when customer service kind of launched. So sometime between 2005 and 2010, you know, people were still trying to figure out what to do and how to talk about disability and how to create awareness for their staff and customer service, obviously, and all that kind of stuff. And at the time, the Accessibility Advisory Committee did a training like with staff where the staff learned just general disability awareness. So we have a very good, you know, training that we do on that now, but now it's a booklet. And this previous training had individuals from the Accessibility Advisory Committee who were willing to talk with staff about how they appreciate people talking to them. And the staff member who I spoke to said it was really impactful for them. And one of the things that they said was that, you know, which kind of tweaked me, was they said, you know, at the training, the gentleman I spoke to who was in a wheelchair, he directed me to get down on my haunches and you know, talk to him like wheelchair, when he's in his wheelchair, like kneel down. And I said, be careful, because he may have liked that, but not everybody who's in a wheelchair is going to appreciate that. So now if you did that, somebody else might say, why are you on the ground? Stand up and talk to me. Like so he was like, oh, I didn't know that there were differences. And I said, well, there are people, there are as many people as there are differences, right? And so he said, can the Accessibility Advisory Committee do that again? And I said, well, I'll have to ask, because not everybody's comfortable. Like some of the committee members on the old committee were real trailblazers with different types of training in the community, involved in all sorts of things. Some of them had jobs, some of them didn't have jobs. So some of the ones that did have jobs didn't participate in some of these volunteer stuff because they were busy during the day. And then, you know, like I don't want to impose anything on you guys. So I'm thinking if you're interested in something like that, he would like something to occur sometime between January and March. So before their construction season would start. So just general awareness, general accessibility awareness, general accessibility customer service. So as I said, we have lots of materials on that. But in addition, the thing to cover would be issues and concerns related to accessibility during construction, like on Dunlop. And I know a few of you have lots of experience and feedback to provide over the Dunlop Street construction. And so that would be really worthwhile for, like, we've conveyed that, we pass a lot of that feedback on to the contractor who worked on that contract. But for staff who are guiding different construction pieces of work, different contractors, etc., it would be very valuable, I think, if you guys were open to it, to do that. Yeah, Heather.
Mm-hmm.
What length of time, what size of group, and what are some of the more details of what we would be saying yes to? When would it need to happen during the week?
Totally. So we could be flexible based on your schedules. It would be between working hours, because if it's an expectation of the city for staff to participate, then it is during business hours, which is 8:30 to 4:30. So I could work with your schedules if there's a certain day that works for you or not. And I recognize that some of you, this may not work at all because you have lives to lead between 8:30 and 4:30, and it just might not work. And I totally get that. So you can provide your guidance and feedback to other committee members or written format, and we can convey that if you're not able to attend. But I think probably what we would do is keep small groups, and we would have multiple, like 1 hour kind of sessions in order to have like a smaller group, maybe 90 minutes, an hour and a half kind of thing. I wouldn't want to go to 2 hours because I think we start to lose people. Right? So I think if we can, like, because we have the material that we need them to receive in a booklet, they can read that on their own time. For you and your participation, it would be having that conversation. So I would have them come prepared to ask questions. So we would kind of do an introduction. This is what this is about. Please refer to your booklets that covers X, Y, and Z. And then they can talk to you about different scenarios and stuff like that.
Excuse me, Cheryl.
Yes, Carolyn. Yeah.
Carolyn here. Is it possible to get a copy of the booklet so that we know what is covered? Or
absolutely, yeah, for sure. It's AODA training. It's like available on the province's website. Like so I can certainly send you all the links and all that other kind of stuff. It's everything that's in the legislation and also covered under Ontario Human Rights Code stuff. So you absolutely, you can look at that now, absolutely. But I'll send you links in advance. And then certainly also, like, once I know the group that's coming, like I can better, like, I'll have an understanding of, like, hey, this team is from this department, this team is from whatever department. And you know, if you want them to come prepared with questions, I can get them to give me their questions so that I give those to you in advance so that you can see what they're asking or curious about, that kind of thing. Like we can map all of that out. I just didn't want to agree to anything or exposing anybody to anything unless you guys were interested.
So excuse me, Cheryl, again. Is it kind of real life scenarios to
It's you-
share with
it's
them?
Yeah, so it's your lived experience, whether that lived experience is you as an individual as an individual with a disability, or it could be you as a professional working with people with disabilities, or it could be you as a parent with your child with a disability, or whatever. Like it's so if you just think about general accessibility awareness, the idea is, what would you like people to know about you, like how to interact with you, given that you may have a disability? And so the other thing that you could do, because I know you all have friends and family and a great network of people, you could convey information. Like, so for example, one of the things that I have a few people that I may invite who aren't on this committee, who represent other disabilities that we don't currently have represented on the committee. And if they can come, great. But if they can't come, then I can help convey their stories. So for example, I have a very good friend who is blind. And she has a very good job, and she's a mom, and she's busy, and she does all sorts of things. But sometimes when she interacts with people, just in basic customer service areas like the grocery store, she's blind, people yell at her, they'll speak louder to her, like just and she's so great because she just kind of goes, huh, okay, and she just kind of, like, explains very calmly. But some people, because I've seen it, that happens to, they get really upset by it, and they may lash out at that customer service person. And so it's conveying that information that I know you're trying to be helpful, but the best thing to do to be helpful is to ask the person that you're dealing with what is going to be helpful for them first off, right? But then you guys, if you're comfortable and interested, you can also share your own personal stories and experiences. And because as I said before, this is the construction group, they're really gonna want your feedback on customer service related to our construction projects. Yeah. And again, it's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's happening between January and March. So we have time to think about it. So you don't have to have a decision right now, like mull it over in your head. If you have ideas about what you think will work good or not work or whatever, email that to me. And we can talk about it at the January meeting, and flesh things out and kind of go, yes, we're going to do this, or no, we're not going to do this. But, maybe what you want to do instead of participate physically and in person is you want to compile a list of things that you want to make sure that I share with this group. There's lots we can do.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So we can table that for another discussion.
Okay, good. I think it would be helpful for us to have a little more information about the formatting and would we need to be there the entire time, or
that's totally up to you, Kat. That's totally up to you, Catherine. Like, so we can create, can create stuff. So like if you're only comfortable with giving 45 minutes of your time, then that's what we'll do. Like, I will totally go by what you guys as a group think is going to feel good and sit well with you.
Okay, why don't we give it some thought then, and we can talk about it in January.
Perfect.
Does that work?
Thanks. Yeah, thanks so much.
Okay. Okay, so we're on to the 2022 committee meeting schedules. So, wow. You're on mute, Cheryl.
I just said, I know. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, this isn't for me to discuss. This is Cammie's discussion, but I can't believe we're already talking about 2022.
It's, yes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
2020 and 2021 were phantom years.
Phantom, that's a good word,
Yeah.
phantom.
So
But yeah, sorry, Tammy, go ahead. Yes.
So basically, all I wanted to with this item is wanted to set the schedule for 2022, and I wanted to find out if this time frame, this time of the month, like is it the second Thursday of the month,
Yeah.
works for the committee, and the time frame works for the committee, and then I can start booking the meeting times.
Okay, Heather.
So January through to the middle of April, I will have to be in Toronto on Thursdays. So I can continue to come by calling in like Rob does if we maintain this same time slot. But I just want to be transparent there. It doesn't need to be moved for me. I can call in. That seems to work fine. I'll be on the GO train at that time. So
Right.
And at this point, we have no timeline as to when meetings will become in person anyhow. So at this point, they'll continue status quo for virtual. So we're just
Right.
waiting to hear when, like
if,
everybody else.
if there's a couple of months where I can't make it because of that, then that's just
fine.
what it has to
Yeah.
be. But I just want to be clear. I don't have a choice on this. So
No,
Right.
but I appreciate you letting us know.
You have a really good reason, and we're all excited for your reason anyway. So
We sure are. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyone else? Anyone has any concerns, or we're good? Carolyn?
No, that's good with me. Yeah.
All right, then I guess we'll stick to what we have.
And Tammy, just to clarify, if my math is right, is next fall election?
Yes, so
Yes.
the term of this committee ends November 14th, 2022.
Okay.
So given what happens, the committee will probably have maybe one meeting. The last meeting will be November, I'm presuming.
Oh, right.
If not, maybe even October, I don't know, depending on how things roll here with the
Mhm.
committee. So yeah, it's hard to
Right.
imagine just one more year left. This
It
committee.
is hard to
this term of
imagine.
This committee.
Wow.
Gone really fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no meeting in December of this committee?
If there's something emergency comes up, we can definitely call a meeting if there's
Okay.
something,
But right
if there's
now it's
anything,
not planned.
but right
Yeah.
now it's not planned.
We
Okay.
typically we don't meet in December or in July and August. We
Right.
follow the council schedule.
Okay.
Okay. But yes, if anything comes up, if anything needs to be discussed or dealt with, we can be available, I suppose. Yeah. Good. Well, that's it. And this is it for 2021.
Yeah.
The next time we'll be meeting is in 2022.
I know, hard to imagine.
Wow. Wow. Well, everyone be well and take good care of yourselves and your families, and I guess we'll speak in 2022
Hard to believe.
Happy holidays.
Hard to
Yes,
believe.
happy
Yeah, I was
holidays.
gonna say
Hard to
Merry
believe.
Christmas, but,
Wow.
anyway,
Wow, what
really.
a year. I won't
Yeah.
miss this year, I have to say.
No,
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Thanks so
Okay.
much for everything,
thank
you
you,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you so
Guys.
much.
And,
Bye.
Thank you for everything.
take good care.
Take
Okay.
care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.